Thank you so much for taking the time. Come. So let's talk about this. And there are a lot of people in this room who will know exactly what you mean when you say vibe coding. But there are a lot more people tuning in from home and on their mobile phones that are wondering what we're talking about. What are the vibes here? Can you explain that?
Yeah. I think that traditionally, the software and website creation was, requiring technical skills, knowledge of the technical expertise. Then there were boundaries between design, the content, the coding, the deployment, and so on and so forth. Vibe coding is, a way of creating the same thing, which is you build the software, your website, your presence in a natural language without requiring any technical expertise, because the models and the prompts behind the platform takes care of translating your intention into the technical specifications and carries it over.
So you're essentially saying everybody who's watched Python, not something else?
Absolutely. You can go on to rocket.new right now and type something, what do you want to build next? In fact, outside, I was talking to one of your colleagues and she said, what we can build? I said, let's build the landing page of this event. And in 3 minutes, I just...
3 minutes?
In 3 minutes, we built the landing page working.
Wow. Okay, so that's fantastic. Now, the thing is, I've always had this amazing appreciation for IT professionals. They speak in languages that I can't hope to possibly understand. What this does essentially is democratize that somewhat?
Absolutely, and I'm the living proof. I'm not a techie, I'm not a developer. I am by qualification chartered accountant. For most part of my life, I've been, tech enthusiast, but on the finance side, and now I am, building the...
People, they're saying that chartered accountants could well be replaced soon.
This is a question everybody is asking everybody, correct, these days. What I feel is, I don't think AI or any tool will replace an individual. I think a person who understands and knows and uses these tools will replace the one that is not using it, okay? Yes, and when we look at, our job is made of two things. One is tasks that you should not be doing, and the other is the core value that you add in any job. Decision-making, creativity, governance, and accountability, correct? Vision, good biases and bad biases, correct? Those things are the core of us. And today, in the era of processes and speed, we have been consumed by non-value-add work. So those guys will have to think about it. But others, it will open the doors because now I have more time to do things that I excel at.
So a lot of the conversation in the recent past in the IT industry here in India and the way that it is done has been about moving away from the man-hours model. This is essentially what you're talking about.
Outcome model.
Outcome model. How does that work?
So, take an example, like with Rocket, okay? Earlier in my consulting days or, chartered accountancy days, it was a trust-based, the client acquisition or marketing where I used to, go and pitch because I'm chartered accountant, because I have done for XYZ and ABC, people used to believe and people would give me work. Now I need to show him what the output will look like. So with Rocket, for example, you're going in a client meeting, on the way you can create a demo, you can create a presentation, you can create a solution, you can actually show it live in the meeting, iterate with it, that this is how it will look like in the real world, and there are better chances of you winning and also the client getting the upfront solution in front of them to see and make a decision. Otherwise, in bureaucracy, we have seen it takes, 20 hours even to fix meeting with the consultants to arrive at a project. In 20 hours, you would have probably with Rocket built everything.
Okay, so the question to you, therefore, is that you are removing several steps in this process, right?
Yep.
And that is ultimately what technology does.
It removes the technological barriers, it removes the administrative tasks, it removes the, the translation errors in the entire process.
So the question for you, you're relatively young as a company, but you probably had a lot of colleagues in the past or people that you know that would arguably be made redundant by this, right? So what do they do and what do entry-level folks do? Because they can't ultimately jump that barrier to where people who work for 10 years, 15 years and got certain body of work behind them, certain experience, how do they bridge that gap in your opinion?
I think the people who are entering afresh, they need to be receptive to using these tools, and they are by and large. The new generation uses it and gets equipped by that. The older population who comes with or the experienced population who comes with the body of work, I think they need to focus their time on the governance of the output that comes, or they be responsible for the output that is generated, make a decision about the output that is generated. That is the tremendous amount of value. The experience is something that no tool can, replace, correct? The experience gives you the capability to understand what is built is right, what is built is appropriate for my business, for my audience, for my client, for my use case, correct? So those professionals who adopt this and use it as a tool to, deliver high quality judgments, high quality governance, they will be better off with it. The new ones who are coming in, take this as a tool or a bike that you ride at a high speed.
It's all about productivity,
It's all about productivity.
So coming to Rocket specifically and what you guys are building, the question that I have is that it seems like this space is disruptive, of course, of individuals, but it's disruptive of companies themselves. Because you create something today, and day after tomorrow, there are 5 other people that are doing the exact same thing at a low cost and more efficiently. How do you stay relevant?
I think efficiency is not the game that anyone wins, honestly. At the end of the day, the depth of the solution, the output that you generate, the quality of the output, and the contextual relevance of that output is something that makes you win. How deep you understand a use case of your client. So for example, let's take an example of Rocket, correct? At a vertical level, we don't go vertical like, of course, the frontier models like LLMs, like, we're talking with Chris right now, correct? They have a basic capability of solving this problem, but those models do not have the capability of understanding the context, the regulation, the data, data governance around it, the decision making, the context of the enterprise or the context of the
Give me an example of that.
So for example, there is a conglomerate that wants to, adopt a vibe coding tool for disrupting themselves, or a vibe solutioning tool for disrupting their entire, assembly line, as I call it, correct, of putting software together or putting the front end together. Now, they have to struggle with the basic problem of context, because they are starting from somewhere, they are not starting afresh. So the context needs to be understood by the tool or the platform. Their data governance and data requirements are required to be, catered to. Like a fintech in India can't be, hosting data in the United States, correct? So you need governance, you need security, you need the context layer, and then you need to also imbibe to their design thinking, their existing strategy, financial capability and all. All these contexts go into building and solving what to build, which is why, we call ourselves Vibe Solutioning Platform and not the Vibe Coding Platform, because coding is, the execution of what to build. The hard part is to decide what to build. How to build has been solved. It has become more efficient with Vibe Coding tool, but we were building, softwares earlier. We are building it now more efficiently. The harder part still remains what to build.
Okay, fair point. Now, last point with regard to talent and availability of it and how you are looking at potential hires. When you look at people that you want to work with, right? And we're talking about, and what we've just spoken about the last 10 minutes is about leveling that playing field. Essentially,
Absolutely.
You could have somebody who's just walked in who could be as efficient or more productive than somebody who spent 20 years in the industry. So what do you look at when you're speaking to people today?
So I think this is a great question. And, at an entry level or at a mid level, we look for people who have the creative streaks, correct? We look for people who are AI native in their functioning, correct? Not just like, they use ChatGPT, once in a week type of stuff, or, the Claude Code for once in a week type of stuff. Those who use, AI extensively in their work, okay? Those are the AI native people with creative streak and with some bit of agency. At the senior level, we look for people who adopt these tools, let go of their baggage, but keep the learning.
Interesting.
Because that combination brings the relevant and contextual decision making that helps us push forward.
Interesting. I want to double click on that, right? And when you're talking about somebody, suppose I come to you as an entry level individual and I want to do an interview with you, I want to work with you, right? You were talking about judging whether I use artificial intelligence, not just the odd chat. So how are you going to judge that when you speak to me?
Most likely we'll work on a project first.
Sure.
There will be an assignment or a project, correct? And we will crack a problem, and openly you can use, any AI model and all. But we define the outcome, correct? That this is the, this is the objective where I want to reach. Now let's solve this. This is how I evaluate you, how you solve the problem, how quickly you solve the problem, how creative you solve the problem. What are the tools that you are using, correct? What are the viewpoints that you are bringing in? Are you just, putting in prompt in ChatGPT or, Anthropic or anywhere else and just, being a cheap wrapper, what I call, many tools are, which many tools are, correct? So we try to see, do you have the deep understanding of what we do or the problem that we are trying to solve, or you are just, taking instructions from me, passing on to ChatGPT and throwing it back to me?
Sure.
No go, boss.
Last point, and this is something as a message that you want to send to everybody listening at home. We're just scratching the surface. How excited are you, and what can you describe to explain to people how excited you are at this moment?
I'm super excited. There has never been a better time in the world to create, because now technology barriers are gone. People can actually, bring their dream into reality at an individual level. At business level, people who are facing problems selling internally can actually show the demonstration rather than trying to make a theoretical point. From the business and the government and the citizen and the whole population perspective, in my view, as I said, the whole world needs to be rebuilt, because the old world was built for workflows, for SaaS world, for the traditional software. We are becoming AI native. We are increasingly integrating AI into our life, and that is why the whole world needs to be rebuilt or tweaked, whether you call it a software or you call it a hardware. And the software will become a supportive software. In the coming days, will have a supportive role to the hardware. So we are rebuilding the entire world. There has never been a better chance for anybody to relive their life, to rebuild what they couldn't do earlier, or to achieve the dreams they did not, could not pursue because of technological barrier earlier.
So whether you want to call it a threat or an opportunity is up to you, ladies and gentlemen. Big round of applause for Deepak. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Pleasure.